Power is not always taken by force. It is not always seized through speeches, wars, or grand gestures. No, true power is often built in the quiet, in the spaces between words, in the pauses that unsettle, and the silences that reveal more than any statement ever could. The world today is drowning in noise. Everyone speaks, tweets, argues, and fights to be heard. But in this chaotic battle of voices, the ones who remain silent hold the real power. Their silence is a riddle, an empty space that others rush to fill, often to their own detriment. Niccolo Machiavelli, one of history's greatest political minds, understood this better than anyone. He knew that the most dangerous man in the room is not the one who shouts, but the one who listens. In his writings, he repeatedly emphasized the strategic advantage of restraint, of speaking only when necessary, and of mastering the delicate art of revealing nothing while learning everything. Those who control their tongues control their fates, and those who cannot bear silence, they surrender their power before they even realize it. Silence, the language of kings and conquerors. Throughout history, the most formidable leaders, generals, and tacticians were not those who spoke the loudest, but those who knew exactly when to say nothing. Julius Caesar, before crossing the Rubicon, kept his intentions hidden, leaving Rome in suspense. When he finally moved, his enemies were unprepared. Napoleon Bonaparte mastered the art of silence in negotiations, forcing his opponents to speak first, revealing their weaknesses before he ever revealed his own. Vladimir Lenin, during the Russian Revolution, remained silent for months, allowing his enemies to exhaust themselves with debates and declarations. When he finally spoke, his words changed the course of history. Silence is not inaction, it is strategy. Those who use it well force their enemies to reveal their plans, their fears, and their weaknesses. A silent man in a room full of talkers becomes a mirror. People project onto him their assumptions, their anxieties, their miscalculations, and he, in turn, absorbs everything, learning precisely where to strike. The foolishness of speaking too much. Machiavelli, in The Prince, warned rulers never to speak more than necessary, because every word is a weapon, one that can be used against you. The moment you reveal your true thoughts, you become predictable. The moment you explain yourself too much, you give others the tools to manipulate you. Why do people talk so much? Because they fear the void. They fear what others might assume if they remain silent. But this is exactly where power lies, in the ability to tolerate discomfort, to watch others scramble to fill the silence while you remain calm, unshaken, unreadable. Consider how often people ruin themselves with unnecessary words. The politician who over-explains, trying to please everyone and ends up pleasing no one. The negotiator who talks too much, revealing his bottom line before the other side even makes an offer. The social climber who shares too much, too soon, giving others the means to exploit his ambitions. Machiavelli understood that most people cannot bear the weight of silence. It is in their nature to break it, to explain, to justify, to speak first. But those who can resist this impulse will always have the upper hand. Silence as a weapon in strategy and war. Machiavelli's philosophy was not just about politics. It was about warfare, negotiation, and survival itself. In The Art of War, he argued that the best military strategies are those concealed from the enemy until the moment of execution. This principle applies just as well to speech. Words spoken too early are like armies deployed too soon, exposing your intentions before the time is right. In war, the general who keeps his plans hidden forces his enemy to guess, to overprepare, to hesitate. In politics, the leader who remains silent forces his rivals to speculate, to make mistakes based on assumptions. And in daily life, the person who reveals little about themselves is always in a position of advantage over those who speak without caution. Silence is timing. It is patience. It is the ability to wait until the perfect moment, to strike when victory is assured. The psychological power of silence. Human nature has not changed since Machiavelli's time. People are still drawn to mystery. They are still unsettled by what they cannot understand. Silence creates an aura of authority. People naturally assume depth and intelligence in those who do not speak frivolously. When someone remains quiet in a discussion, others begin to fill the void with their own assumptions. He must know something we don't. She must be confident if she doesn't feel the need to prove herself. Why isn't he speaking? What is he thinking? This psychological mechanism gives the silent strategist immediate power before they have even spoken a word. In the modern world, the temptation to speak constantly can be overwhelming. Whether it's social media, 24-hour news cycles, or the never-ending need to share our thoughts with the world, We live in an age of oversharing, and yet, while many people eagerly fill the silence with their voices, there's an ancient and powerful truth that many have forgotten. Silence is not weakness. In fact, as Niccolò Machiavelli, the famous Renaissance political thinker, understood, silence is an incredibly effective tool for wielding power. Machiavelli's work, particularly The Prince, provides us with invaluable insights on how to navigate power dynamics, both in politics and everyday life. One of his central themes is the concept of control. Control of information, of perception, and most importantly, control of one's own speech. The pitfalls of over-communicating. People who cannot resist the urge to talk often give away their weaknesses. When you speak without caution, you reveal your insecurities through nervous chatter. You expose your emotions, sometimes unintentionally, through unguarded words. When you speak without thinking, you may also make commitments you cannot take back. Words, once spoken, cannot be retrieved. These moments of vulnerability can be exploited by others who are paying close attention. Machiavelli observed that true power lies in the asymmetry of information. The one who knows more than they reveal always holds the upper hand. In any negotiation or conflict, the moment you reveal everything you know, you surrender this advantage. For Machiavelli, this was not just a strategic point. It was an essential part of maintaining and consolidating power. To illustrate this point, Machiavelli gave the example of a prince or leader who, if too open, too transparent, would lose the mystique that often commands respect. Once the leader's secrets and strategies are exposed, their enemies can plan and counterattack effectively. The ability to withhold information and speak strategically ensures that the leader remains a step ahead of those around them. When silence becomes strength. Silence, however, is not to be misunderstood as a simple absence of speech. Machiavelli never advocated for complete muteness. Rather, his teachings suggest that the true master of power knows exactly when to speak and, just as importantly, when to remain silent. There are moments when words, carefully chosen and perfectly timed, can have maximum impact. There are also moments when silence speaks volumes, more than any words could ever achieve. For example, the ruler or leader who speaks sparingly is seen as one who measures their words with precision. Their silence gives off an air of thoughtfulness, caution, and control. This is a tactic that can be used not just to withhold information, but to actively mislead opponents, inspire followers, close deals at the right moment, or give the illusion of openness while revealing nothing of substance. In contrast, the fool speaks because they feel compelled to do so. Their need to fill the silence stems from a place of discomfort, an inability to tolerate the void that exists between thoughts and words. But in doing so, they lose control of the conversation, of the perceptions of others, and ultimately, of their own power. As Machiavelli would suggest, their impulsive speech erodes their authority and places them at a disadvantage. Machiavelli's teaching on power and information. The great teacher of power also understood the significance of controlling information. Silence is not just the absence of words, it is the act of controlling what others can learn about you and your intentions. This information control can be essential for keeping enemies off balance. If your opponents are unsure about your next move, they are in a state of uncertainty. And uncertainty leads to hesitation, fear, and mistakes. Machiavelli often stressed that power is not just about domination or coercion, it is also about perception. Those who speak too much lose the ability to shape how others perceive them. A person who speaks endlessly gives others more opportunities to form negative opinions or to use their words against them. Meanwhile, those who know when to remain silent, and crucially how to do so, maintain control over their narrative. The great example of this strategy is the figure of the enigmatic ruler who inspires both fear and admiration. This ruler speaks only when absolutely necessary, and when they do speak, their words carry weight and authority. They don't need to fill every moment with noise. They know that their silence, in fact, adds to their power. Like and subscribe to this channel for more epic and educative teachings about life.